welcome to the Typical Arsenal Show with your host Ray, and tonight I'm joined by Theo and John. Hi guys, thank you again for coming and joining us tonight.
Hi lads.
Thank God we've got a positive result to talk about. That's 3 on the bounce there, 3 W's. We're liking that a lot. 4-0 win against Norwich at home at the Emirates Stadium. And despite the opposition, John, what do you reckon? Good performance?
Yeah, there was flashes of promise. The midfield, the partnership there, they seem to have a good understanding. Ceballos and Xhaka now look a lot better. The 3 at the back look a lot better. It makes us more balanced. You get better defending, although Mustafi did try his best to ruin that. But yeah, there was flashes of good stuff from us. Positives, I'd say Ceballos, if he can keep this going. Yeah. Reece Nelson did all right. He weren't too bad. It's one of his better games that I've seen him play. Tierney was fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you what, John, I'll tell you what, because we got the whole show to get into the game tonight. Obviously, the focus is the Norwich game. But maybe I'll dress it back a bit and bring you in, Theo, and start to discuss a bit more generally about Arsenal so far. So, like I mentioned in the intro, 3 games on the bounce now, positive results. And one of the players that's been a real highlight during this period has been your man, Bukayo Saka. We got the excellent news today, finally, after another saga, that he signed. How are we feeling about that, Theo?
The boy's got a lot of talent, and it was even a bit of a crime that we hadn't signed him up until this point. I'm sure all Arsenal fans are relieved that we've got his signature. And they say, even that annoys me, that they say long-term deal. Just say whether it's 5 years or 6 years. Why do Arsenal always do things like that? But it's a good thing that we've got him signed up. He's a promising talent. He's one of those who, I think, of all the youngsters, he's the one who's grabbed the opportunity with both hands. I've still got my doubts about some of the others, but Saka's a good signing. Generally speaking about the team, I would say that so far since we returned back from COVID, we didn't have much expectations from Man City game, but it was the Brighton game that really ticked everybody off in it. Yeah. And when you reflect upon it now, if we had won that Brighton game, we would have been in the mix. So it even adds more insult to injury. Yeah. But all in all, 3 wins on the bounce. They haven't necessarily been the greatest performances, but we just need results. So I'm happy overall, but
more to be done, should we say?
Yeah, I'm not getting too excited.
Okay, all right. So I guess, John, I'll bring you back in, and we'll start to move on to the lineup and how we felt about it. I'll tell you what, I'll pull up the starting lineup here. But give us a bit of a spiel about what you thought the starting lineup looked like before the game and how you felt about it after it.
I think you can tell by my WhatsApp message I wasn't too impressed with what he went with to start off with. I said I hope they prove me wrong, and to be fair, I think the key to changing what I thought was going to happen in that game was the 3 at the back and the pairing of the midfield. I think they was key to us playing better. Agreed. Ceballos stepped up, and as I said, that's the best I've seen him play in an Arsenal shirt. If he can do this against the big boys, against the next 4 teams, sign him up. Like, if he don't turn up in those games, then I'm still a no with him, but that's just because he hasn't done it consistently for me, and I want to see him against the top opposition, not giving the ball away and playing them threaded balls down the wings, down the channels to the players. So yeah, I think that completely changed my thing. Lacazette for me, I'm not of.
He's washed, man.
He shouldn't be starting.
Wow. Listen, I'll tell you what, John, we're going to come on to that. Because I think Lacazette is becoming another topic in itself, and very much like Ozil watch, I think we're going to have to start Lacazette watch and start monitoring the stats because it's dire watching. It is dire watching Lacazette. But I guess Theo, I'll bring you back in and start to hone down in on the change in formation before we even crack on with the lineup, maybe. Because for me, we don't have two centre backs that effectively work together. So having the three at the back gives me a little bit more security, even if it is a wing back that's tucking in next to them on the left hand side. For you, sorry,
I was going to say, if you look at our squad, none of the even the fullbacks, they don't look comfortable as in a back four. As well as Tierney played, I've seen him in the back floor and I've not been convinced. So I think the system actually suits the squad that we have. You know, because Kolasinac, I was thinking he won't get a game again now. Saka's been playing well and we've got Tierney back. But in fairness, he looks quite comfortable in that back three. I think he's been pretty good since he's been put into that position. And David Luiz, we all knew when we bought him that his best performances for Chelsea were in the back three when they won the league. So everybody's been crying out for us to, you know, do something along those lines. And there were times where Emery was trying to do that. But all in all, I think we look comfortable in the back five. And what I would say is that even like the likes of Bellerin, if you're talking about the lineups, I was surprised that he was playing because I thought Ainsley played really well in the last game. And so I was a bit surprised. I don't know what it is about Arteta and Ainsley. They've talked about his disciplinary, but I think he should be given a bit more of a chance. I don't know about you guys, but I think he should be given a bit more of a chance. I don't know if it's his attitude or what.
But it's this thing that we keep hearing, this whisper that we keep hearing about the fact that he was given this opportunity in right back. When Bellerin was injured long term, and realistically, the kid he had an opportunity to pin his position down in the squad in the starting.
And he said he wanted to play midfield.
He wanted to play centre midfield. So why is the manager gonna pander to you and put you in when you're saying you don't want to play the position? Fine, we got a new player now, and look, he went and scored in his debut. That puts you.
I thought that was more so when. I thought that was more so when Emery was about, not so much so when Arteta came in. But nonetheless, I think my key point is that I don't think we've got the squad to play a back four at the moment. I think this formation that we're playing suits the players that we have. We're interested to see what we do when Torreira comes back because obviously for me he's a key player, but Ceballos looks a lot more comfortable there as well. And so them two seem to be working. You know, dare I say it, Granit Xhaka is important to our team.
Don't do it to yourself.
He's important to our team.
Don't do it to yourself.
He's important to our team.
Listen,
he might not be the greatest player, but I've always said it.
Theo, we just lost you there, mate. Maybe that's a good time for me to interject there and just take you up on that comment you made about Ainsley and it being under Emery, just first and foremost. Ainsley was in the team when Arteta first came. He was playing well, looking good under Arteta, and all of a sudden, Bellerin came back and he disappeared. So that makes me think there's an attitude problem there, or there's an issue with him wanting to play the position, just to take you up on that point. But what I will do is agree with you in regards to a couple of the points you made. I think Ceballos, again, agreeing with you as well, John. I think this was probably his best performance in a long while. Maybe Burnley beginning of the season, I think it was, where he had a bit of a false dawn. But no, he looked tenacious today. He looked to get about the pitch. He looked effective in the midfield, you know. And obviously your boy Xhaka was in there doing what he does. Doing what he does. But listen, I'm not going to knock him. He played decent today. So, you know what, we'll move on. And maybe we'll start to talk about
3 games back with Xhaka, 3 wins.
Don't feel again. You're falling into the trap because it was only Sunday. Was it Sunday we played against Sheffield United, and he did one of those harebrained passes into the midfield, and you're thinking it could have gone the absolute wrong way. And this is the thing. Even Mustafi today, he did 2. Where I was looking, I was thinking, you're so lucky, so lucky. Your team bailed you out there. But anyway, listen, let's move on from the calamity clowns that we've got at our club, and let's start to talk about, this decent performance, and maybe move with you, John, to talk about the first half and how we started the game.
Well, that was really interesting in how we started. We started predominantly on the right. Ceballos was threading passes, and it was Bellerin who was the forward man. Reece Nelson was sitting like a little bit behind him for some reason. I don't know why, but we started with Bellerin, and he was overlapping well. But again, the final ball, he did do one really good ball to Lacazette, but Lacazette couldn't control it and fluffed his lines as per usual. But yeah, we started really positive on the right wing, and then all of a sudden it just switched and they went down the left, and then we started just getting success down the left non-stop, bringing Tierney into it. And from there, I mean, we should have been at least 2-0 up before we even scored the first goal. Aubameyang, he had a strike. He had the whole goal to aim at, and he hit it straight at the keeper. He should have had a hat-trick easy for someone of his quality. But you can tell he lost a bit of confidence. So I'm glad he got his 2 goals today, because that'll boost him back up, because he's been shifted into a position that's not his. I don't care whether people say he's the top scorer and he's still effective. He's not as effective as he would be if he was playing striker. He is a striker. You give him the chances in front of goal, 9 times out of 10 he will score. So that's where he's a bit wasted. I mean, he's done amazing to get that many goals off the left wing. So the first half, apart from their thunderbolt strike that hit the post.
Did you see that one? Wow.
Well, listen, I'll interject there, John. I'll interject there and just say, I did message in the group, top save from Martinez, important save in the game. When you see,
you're talking about the free kick.
No, it was a strike from distance, wasn't it?
No, the free kick was the top save. The
strike from distance hit the post.
Ah, yes.
You weren't getting
Apologies.
that. You weren't getting
Apologies.
that.
You're right. You're right.
He wasn't getting that. That was hit with, like, I don't know what it is with these lower teams. They always seem to have one player that tries to do a goalie against us all the time. And
they're
9
usually
times
successful,
out of 10
mate.
it goes in. 9 times out of 10 it goes in.
Yeah.
Against no other teams, you'll never see this guy strike a ball again in the rest of the season. He won't strike a ball.
Listen, talking about striking the ball, mate, it kind of brings us nicely on to the first goal. And maybe I'll bring Theo back in on this one. It kind of demonstrates what you get when you've got work rate in your team and a good attitude. Because there's 2 games on the trot now, or maybe I'm mistaken, but I forget where Nketiah's goal came, whether it was Sheffield United or whether it was Southampton.
Southampton.
So that's 2 out of 3 games where our striker's been working hard, pressing the goalkeeper, and we've got a goal from it, mate. How are we feeling about that first goal?
No.
The Nketiah one.
Listen, I think that's down to Arteta as well. He's kind of instilling in the team that you can't give up on any kind of loose balls and stuff like that. So that's definitely a positive. And I think overall, the effort from the boys was good. The thing is with you know what's I don't want to divert into
feel free. We have got a running order.
I don't want to divert into Lacazette, but historically he was the one who used to put the effort in and do all of that type of dirty work. I don't know what's happened to him. You know, he used to chase down them. We always used to kind of say, you know, he might not be getting goals, but he's doing. You can see the job he's doing.
The work rate, and he's holding up the ball. It's true.
But I don't know what's happened to him. And the worrying thing for me is that based on the way he's playing, how are we going to get rid of him for a sizable transfer fee? Seriously, how are we going to get rid of him? So we need him to come good for the last 5 games of the season if we want to get rid. But no, on a serious, I think once we got that first goal, we were a little bit settled, and then it started flowing from there. And I was happy because the Xhaka goal as well was a tidy goal, very tidy goal.
And I'm gonna bring John back in. I've stitched you up with the basic goal for you, but John, the second goal, a little bit of Arsenal of old.
Fantastic ball from the clown. Like, I've got to give him his dues. He does spray a ball.
He has got that.
He sprays a ball better than he defends anyway, that's for sure. And yeah, fantastic ball, great touch from Tierney inside, and then excellent play from Aubameyang. It was literally the weight of pass was so good that Xhaka couldn't miss really. You'd have to be a dingbat to miss that. Like he just swung his foot at it and put it straight through the keeper's legs. Like, so it's a great move all round, and it was good to see that because I haven't seen it much from Arsenal at all recently. Like I haven't seen them sort of moves at all. It kind of died. Like I thought we had lost it completely, but I think we needed a game like Norwich to get
the
us
confidence back in it,
believing that we can do that, because we can do that to big teams as well. We can do it, but we just don't do it enough. And
Agreed.
they just need to.
Apparently, we lack creativity when Ozil's not in the team, but we scored 4 goals today.
Let's not listen. Ozil watch is later on in the show. Yeah, don't drop the gun there. Yeah, we got Ozil in and Ozil out here, so it's gonna be a good old debate. Don't worry about that.
We was given 2 of the goals today, given them on a plate by their players. Given them. So here you go. There's your birthday present. Like, take it. Like,
Gifts, mate. Gift wrapped. So listen, the second goal comes just before the half-time break. Perfect time for us to go 2-0 up. And we go into the half feeling confident. We come into the second half here, and they come out strong, which you would expect. You know, they come out and they have, I think the possession stats said they were up on us in the first 15, 20 minutes, which you would expect. The manager's giving them a bit of a rocket, and there was 3 substitutions made. How do you feel we dealt with that first 15, 20 minutes, weathering the storm?
Just before I touch upon that, I've got to say, since Leno's been out, I was a bit worried about the goalkeeping position. I think Martinez has done fantastic.
Good point.
And the reason why I brought that up is that save just before half-time. It would have been a completely different outlook. So we've got to give the guy his dues. In terms of the second half,
the one after half-time as well.
That is
good point.
Well, I think the thing for me with the second half is you can say that we should, because there's times in the past where we've had a 2-goal lead, we've been a bit naive, we've kind of tried to push for the third, and then we've conceded.
Yeah.
But then I think we didn't adjust to their changes at half time. You know, they brought on three guys, and one of those guys, I can't remember what his name, the fourth guy, he was Nip. Yeah, he was everywhere, and we couldn't handle him. But we weathered the storm, so I'm happy about that. We could have conceded, but the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that it's we're starting to develop this thing where lower, the bottom half clubs can feel confident enough to come and attack us. We don't have that. I know, obviously, a lot has changed and we're in transition, but it's just a bit worrying that you see more and more teams in the bottom half coming to, have a go at us. And I think we need to do more to kind of like impose ourselves on these games, because yes, there's a thing about being disciplined, and Chelsea of old, you can say they were disciplined, but they were always in control. Whereas when we try to say discipline, I always feel nervous. I never feel that we're in control of the game. You see what I mean? So I think if that's the case and you're not good at being disciplined, just do what you're best at, innit? Just be on the front foot. So that's my main thing about the second half. After we weathered that storm, and then we eventually got the third goal, then it was pretty much over and done with. Because I never feel comfortable when Arsenal have a 2-goal lead. I never.
No. And John, maybe I'll bring you back in. Can you remember at this point, there were so many goals today, thank God, for once. But Aubameyang's second goal, tidy little finish.
Yeah, it was a good finish. Awful play. It was a Norwich throw. They threw it to their player, and he's passed it to Aubameyang, and he's one-on-one with the keeper. I'm like, you don't get them gifts all the time, but if anyone you want to pass it to, you don't want to pass it to Aubameyang. Yeah. If you'd have passed it to Lacazette when Rose Ed, it wouldn't have been a goal. It wouldn't have counted. So, he passed it to the wrong player, and Aubameyang said, "Thank you very much. That's 51 goals in 77 games. That's a fantastic return for a player who's been playing on the wing for the majority of the time he's played at Arsenal." So, can't argue with it. Yeah, he's not always the world class player that they would say, but striking wise, he is world class. There's no doubt he's world class.
Agreed.
So,
and
yeah,
I guess it's a nice kind of segue to move on to the last goal, as we're talking about goal scorers, and talk about Cedric Soares. We'll have a little note for him. The forgotten man. Theo, we got to see a little cameo from the man today, Cedric Soares. How was you feeling on the couple of touches?
He had his little 15-minute cameo. It was about 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and I think he done okay.
Yeah, he came on at the 70th.
Obviously, we could talk about the goal. It was a little bit of a deflection, but you don't shoot, you won't score. So well done to him for that. It's just a case of we want someone to really be challenging Bellerin because Bellerin's just not look like the same player. So Soares, you've got 5 games to show us what you're made of. Well, have we signed until the end of the season? Is it just to the end of the season, or is it
long term?
Long term.
Really?
Without him playing a Premier League game, imagine.
Yeah.
Mate, what I will say, just I was mentioning to John before the show that did you see Bellerin's face when he got first substituted and then at the end of the game? He looked like a man that was worried. He looked like a man that was concerned. And you know what? I like that concern because it means there's competition in the squad. And I know we haven't seen much of Cedric Soares, and to be fair, I didn't even see him at Southampton. He didn't stand out like that for me to be looking out for him, you know. But it looks decent. It looks decent. And what I would say is, just to give him a bit more props, shot was taken with the weaker foot. We like to see that from players, you know what I mean? Taking a chance, taking a shot, like you say. But you were going to say, Theo, quickly.
No, I was just going to say that let's give him a run out. Let's see what he can offer us in the last 5 games of the season. And competition in the team is good. Look at Man City. Apart from probably about 4 players, most of the squad know that they're probably going to be rotated. So they know that they need to be delivering good performances when they come onto the pitch, and that's what we need. There's no real competition there, and I think it helps. So let's see what we can do.
Yeah. And I guess as we're moving on, and I'm just aware of time as well. We might take an early break, guys. We'll see and come back on the other side. But I just wanted to pose a question to you just quickly before we move on to the second half, John. Good performance or terrible opposition? Where do you stand? Are you somewhere in the middle? How do you feel about it?
It was 50-50. I mean, it wasn't overall great performance. Like, I expect us to batter Norwich. I expect it. Even as bad as we've been, I expect it. Like, Norwich are a poor side. They're there for the taking. If you want to take them, you can do it. So they are a poor opposition. But, parts of the performance I was really impressed by. And as I say, it gives them confidence. Like, it's the first goal. We've scored 2 goals from midfield now. That's like
amazing.
That's more than the whole season. I think that in the last 2 games. Like, so, yeah, it's confidence for them, and I just hope we translate it into the games that are coming, because they're tough. They're tough games. The 5 games we've got are tough. You couldn't get any tougher, really. You got the big boys, and if we want to finish above these teams like Wolves, like Tottenham, we got to beat them.
Yeah,
that's that.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed. And we ain't going to be getting any gifts like we got tonight. Definitely won't be getting those type of gifts against those teams.
No,
so
you wouldn't think so. So
no.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was what I expected, but there was a few worrying moments, but yeah, we done the business. We done what was required of us to do, and move on.
All right,
next
perfect. All right. Well, I think, like you say, a good confidence boost for the team, and I think that is a perfect time to just put a cap on it, guys, in terms of the first half, and meet you on the other side, and we will catch you, the viewers, on the other side as well. All right, cheers, guys. This is the Typical Arsenal Show, and you're here with your hosts Ray, Theo, and John, and we are going into the break. Hi, and welcome back to the Typical Arsenal Show, and you're back with your host Ray, and tonight I'm joined with my esteemed guests John and Theo, and we are getting into the thick of the Arsenal-Norwich game, should I say. 4-0 on the night, and an overall good result, and an okay performance, should we say, decent performance with a couple of gifts in there. So we're going to get right back into it with probably my favourite or best part, or whatever, the most enjoyable part of the show, as per usual. And it's interesting because we've got two guests that are on different ends of the spectrum when it comes to the debate about our esteemed number 10, Mesut Ozil. So I think I'm going to get a jingle for this as well, guys, and a little theme tune. Do, 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 do. Mesut Ozil watch. Anyway, so I'm not even sure if he was in the squad today, boys. I'll be honest.
Nah.
Not even in the squad.
He had a back injury, apparently.
Yeah.
The infamous back injury, yeah? Okay. All right. Well, then we won't judge, but we'll look at the stats for the last 3 games on Mesut Ozil. Where are we at? 0 assists, 0 goals, 0 passes into the final third, 350k. Theo, I'll let you come in quickly. I don't usually let people jump in on the Ozil watch, but I know you're someone that has some strong opinions on it. How are you feeling about Ozil right now and his 350k?
You see, the thing is,
wage packet per week, should I say?
The thing is with Ozil, the situation is that a lot of people know that I'm not a big fan of Ozil, but I wasn't always like this. When he first came to the club, when he played for Real Madrid, I saw him as a world-class player, and I was happy with the signing because I thought, yeah, this guy's going to do bits at Arsenal. The only issue I have with Ozil is that he's had enough time at the club, in my opinion, to be a talisman. And when I say talisman, I'm not expecting him, because, you know, people make the argument that he's not had the right personnel around him. He's played with crap players, people that are not on his wavelength. But my thing is that if you're a good player, you shine no matter what happens, you know? People talk about, you know, that Portugal team that won the Euros. Ronaldo was probably the only great player in that team, but he managed to galvanise the rest of the troops and get them playing. I'm not expecting for him to, be able to do certain things if he hasn't got people on his wavelength. I get that, but what I do expect is for him to show a certain level of consistency. And if he showed that certain level of consistency, that would highlight even more the fact that he's got rubbish players around him. Yeah. The initial excuse was, oh, Giroud is too slow, he's not on his wavelength. Then we've got Aubameyang, a natural goal scorer. Apparently now Aubameyang doesn't know how to do link-up play. There's always an excuse for Ozil, you know what I mean? People talk about the managers are not giving him a chance. The manager put him in the team. He has a run of 5 games. He delivers absolutely nothing. The managers say that we can't carry this guy anymore. They take him out of the team. Then you get all of the Ozil fans who say, oh, Ozil must come in because we lack creativity. There's no goals coming in when Ozil comes in. When Ozil comes in, there's no goals, there's no assists, no chances created in the last third. But apparently Ozil delivers all this stuff that I can't see because I watch the game on Sky Sports and I don't watch it in the stadium, I can't see all the angles that Ozil does. But what I can see...
fired!
Listen, what I can see.
I tell you what, I'm going to interject there because I think we've given you more than enough time on the mic in regards to Ozil.
I haven't finished. I'm joking.
I know you haven't. I know. But I'm going to give John a right of reply. John, how are you feeling about Ozil? Because I know you're on the other end of the spectrum. You appreciate the qualities that he brings to the squad, even if he isn't.
I do. He may not be the player that he was. I'll give you that. But from Arteta's first game against Chelsea, Ozil was the best player on the pitch by a mile, country mile in that game. Against Man United, again, great. So he's very fair. And if you are going to play a number 10 role, we didn't play it today, so he shouldn't even really be discussed. But It's part of your show, so we'll yeah. But if you're going to play a number 10 in Arsenal, you have to play Ozil. If he's fit, you play him. There is no number 10 in Arsenal other than Ozil now. Before, we had a few that you could play there. You could play Santi there. You could play Wilshere there. Easy. Job done. Yeah. But now we don't have one player that can play number 10 other than possibly Pepe, if you can try and get that out of him and play him there. Possibly. That's a big possible, like a big question mark for signing. That's what I would have tried, just to try and get Pepe closer to the goal, because he seems to spend a lot of time out on the wing. But with Ozil, if you're playing a number 10 system, he has to play. And he's the type of player I watch, and I watch him closely in matches, because the stuff he does is what I pay to see. I pay to be entertained, and he does stuff that other players can't do there. Like, I've only seen Pepe do some skills that Ozil has done to players. He's raped players. He's destroyed them, and that's what I want to see. All right, he doesn't. If you actually look at his stats, it's worrying that we're saying this in his worst. This is his so-called worst season. He's still head and shoulders above our whole midfield with creative passes in the final third this season. This is his worst.
You know what? I think I get my turn now, don't I? I must get my turn. So
go for it, man.
I want to try and, just for the process of a debate, I'm going to try and be as objective as possible. I think the fact that we've had 3 managers in the last year and a half that have all put him in and then taken him out, and the fact that even with today's game, John, and you say it's not really a debate because we weren't playing. Let me finish. Because we weren't playing the system with a number 10. My argument to that would be, well, wouldn't you have him in the squad just in case we're struggling to get goals and we might want to switch the system to have a number 10? Wouldn't you, as a manager with one of the most creative number 10s in the world, coming from Pep Guardiola's model of football, wouldn't you have a player like that in your squad if he was capable? And I'll let you come in. Go on, feel free.
I expected him to play by now. I've expected him to play since we come back. No doubt, I expected him to play, especially when we set up in the first 2 games with a number 10. Playing Willock there, disappeared. You wouldn't even know he was playing. Tried to play Saka there. You're taking Saka out of his most dangerous position, which is on the left. You need him on the left. His left foot's too deadly to not have him on the left.
So, John, aren't you making my point for me? Aren't you making my point for me when I say, sorry to interrupt, when I say to you that actually we haven't got another recognised number 10 in the squad and the man's still not getting in the squad? What does that say for his powers at this moment in time? And Theo, I'm going to bring you back in because I'm sure you're itching.
I'm not being funny, but since Arteta's come back, he's had his head up his arse with regards to personnel. He's had his head up his arse. Like, Willock shouldn't be ever starting the match, and I don't care if you're playing a number 10 system and you're not putting Ozil in the team. There's something wrong with you in the head, and that's why I'll come back to your other point about having 3 managers. No, we ain't had 3 managers. We've had a fraud who was never a manager. He's never a football manager in my life. Emery was never a football manager ever.
Go on.
Class as that. Freddie was a coach, and Arteta's just learning the ropes. So, for me, he showed before the lockdown when he playing with Ozil, and we was a better team for it. We played better football with him there. All right. Today, and the last 3 results, we've kind of been turning it round, but other than today, I've been looking at the Arsenal games and I've been like, this is boring. I'm actually bored by my team. My team that I've supported for 40 years. And I'm bored.
Giving away your age there. Jesus.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I turned 40 the other day, man. I don't
Congrats,
care.
mate. Congrats, mate. You don't look it
Congratulations.
at all. So I'll tell you what, just to wrap us up, Theo, because I know you're always objective and you like to keep it, what would you say, sensible, should we say? Let's wrap us up on Ozil. Where do we go from here?
So the thing is, I agree with John. Like, if we're going to play a number 10, because we've got such crap, basically we ain't got no offensive talent in terms of like a number 10. Ozil's our best option. But that says a lot about how we are as a club, that we've fallen so badly that we have to rely on somebody who we know can deliver when it comes to the big games. He's not consistent, and we always cry out for this individual. That says a lot about our club. If it was me personally, I wouldn't focus on a system to include a number 10. I would phase Ozil out of the club, because I think, honestly speaking, my issue is that if you want to restart again and Arteta wants to basically set the team up as he wants, he needs to basically get Ozil out of the club, because I think Ozil is an example of the type of player that is basically the back end of Arsene Wenger's reign. You know what I mean? Like the tidy, silky players, but the production is not necessarily there. That is just my personal opinion, because I think, I think you can make an argument to say that when Sanchez was there, Ozil was flourishing and he was playing well, and so on and so forth. But I just think there's always excuses for Ozil. He's been at the club for 8 years now. And if anybody can convince me that his reign at Arsenal has been a successful reign, they're completely nuts. I cannot buy that. His goals, his influence in the big games, even the smaller games. And even the smaller games. I always say to people always pinpoint these glorious matches that he's supposed to have played. The Leicester match that everybody always talks about, he only had about 45 good minutes in that game. It wasn't like the whole game he was running the show. It was 45 good minutes in that game. This Man United match the Man United and Chelsea match that you're talking about, John, I watched that game. I didn't see Ozil running the show. Listen what I mean? It's obviously, maybe I've got a pessimistic view of Ozil, and people and the goggles that I wear are always going to see Ozil in a negative light. But all right, I swear,
you know what?
I just don't see it.
Round 12 done on Ozil Watch today. John, don't worry about it. I've been planning a special on Ozil. I've got another character that very much thinks the way you do on Ozil. And Theo, I think you're going to be on my team. I think we're going to double team them and kill them.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Bring on.
Anyway, listen, let's move on anyway. Ozil Watch, we're working on a jingle. There's going to be one on next week, hopefully, because I think it's going to run into the end of the season when he finally, well, not the end of this season, the end of the next season when his contract finally ends. So just moving on, guys, to another star name in our team who is struggling badly for form, but is still getting minutes, still getting starts. Lacazette, or as he's been dubbed, Lacazette. And I guess we finished off with you, Theo, so we'll come to you, John. Lacazette, Lacazette. I like Lacazette. I think he's technically a good player, but has he been found out?
I liked Lacazette. There's a difference.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But before, I thought Lacazette was class. He was one of the hardest working, always left it all out on the pitch. Even if he weren't bringing goals, as Theo said, he would bring you that. He would chase down balls. He would link up. He would hold up the ball, and he wouldn't get knocked off. Now I'm seeing Lacazette dead, mate. I don't know about Lacazette. Is Lacazette dead? The guy's like a passenger. It's like someone's got him on a lead and just dragging him around the pitch.
That's it.
He's not producing anything to the team other than getting fouled in dangerous positions. That's the only thing that he's bringing to the team. He gets fouled in dangerous positions, and we've scored a couple of goals from it. Scored a penalty against Sheffield United, and yeah, but he's not bringing anything that I can see that worthies him a place in the team.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to talk about him after, but there are players there that I think should have deserved the chance ahead of him. Like, for all the minutes he's been given, he's not using. we were speaking earlier, Ray, when we was off before the show started about Pepe and his production. 8 goals, 8 assists for someone who's coming from a French league, struggling like to find his way. That's a decent return. I know he's playing on the wing, but Lacazette's been there for years now. He's supposed to be the guy who's settled in. He's supposed to be this lethal finisher like he was for Lyon. He was a lethal finisher, and he's just not that. They've even accommodated him by playing our most lethal finisher out of position just to accommodate him so that he can get in the team. And he still hasn't been providing anything for us, man.
Yeah.
I see him today and he just looks like a player that hasn't got an ounce of confidence in him at all. He just doesn't have confidence in front of goal. When he gets there, he's like rabbit in the headlights. He don't know what to do. He's just like
Agreed.
froze.
Agreed.
And it's sad to see because, as I say, I did like him. I really liked him. He was one of my players that I was like, Laka, got to start Laka. Like he was a player I loved to play, but he's just, I don't know what it is.
Like you say, John, it's sad, mate, because the fall from grace has been a plummet. You know, struggling for goals, struggling for form. At one point, he was struggling for goals, but he was fulfilling a purpose in the squad, holding up the ball in the final third. You know, playing that back to goal type play and trying to bounce balls off of him, and it was working for us, but no goals. But now the performances have dropped off the cliff. There's no goals to be seen, and I feel like he's another one of these players that we're having to carry. Theo, is the writing on the wall when
listen, everything you guys have said, I'm in total agreement. The only thing I'll say is slightly different to what you guys said is I don't think it's only this year that he's been absolutely garbage. Last year he put in a good return, mate. The last year I think he scored 12 Prem goals. So last year he scored against Chelsea. He scored some important, influential goals.
Yeah.
But it's like he started this season and it's just like he didn't start well and he's just lost confidence. He went that long spell without scoring. And I thought after he scored that goal, you know, even that goal that he scored, he mishit it. You know, the one after the drought, he mishit it and he scored. I thought, well, after he scored that goal, that would rejuvenate him and get him back on track. But as you guys are saying, but last season he was playing up the middle and Aubameyang was playing down the left, and their partnership was working. That was one of the joys that we had. We were always talking about how he was always dangerous offensively. We had 2 really good offensive threats, but it was the defense that was letting us down. So it's really sad that Aubameyang's, you know, like excelled and continue to you know, the trajectories continue to go up, but it's just gone on a downward slope. As I said, his effort is not even there anymore. Like today, I'm sure you guys all noticed it. There was one time when the ball came over and it was just like waiting for him to hit it. Literally hit it. It was perfect for him. And then he just like passed it back. And it was just like...
it was a rubbish pass as well.
Oh, this I was just like, I don't know. I've literally given up the, I've given up the, you know, the willingness to give him any more Bly's.
The benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
The benefit of the doubt. He's had all these chances. It's just like, the only issue now, and I said it before, is how do we get rid? Because, like, what is he, 28, 27, 28?
Yeah.
He's at the peak of his powers. We should really be getting what we bought him for 50 million. We should be definitely getting something like that back for him. He's had 2 seasons at our club. Was it 2 or 3 seasons at our club? He should be, you know, really marketable at the moment, but it's going to be hard. Can you see us getting rid of him for more than 40 million? It'll be a stretch.
And this is the thing.
Athletic want him still. If Atletico want him,
well, this is the thing. This is the thing, John, and this is where we kind of come on to where do we go with these type of players? We've spoken about one, Ozil. We know how he's leaving the club. It's at the end of his contract. His agent has made that very clear. Lacazette now. 2 years left.
He's on a big wage. He's not on no peanuts.
My point was going to be, John, Sanyehi, the guy that's running the club right now, made a major statement when he came in about players going into the last 2 years of their contract and making decisions on players. We're at that point with Lacazette. Now, for me personally, the only way I see him going out of the club this summer, which I think he does need, I think he needs to just get a fresh start because it's not working in the Prem for him. Is a swap deal. Maybe a swap deal with some cash on top, but maybe Partey, you know, that might be the way to go. But
that works for me. That works for me because we need a defensive midfielder with presence.
Yeah.
It looks like Torreira's not settled and he might move on in the summer. So Partey and Xhaka could work.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Partey and Xhaka could work.
Wait, Theo, did you try to slip that in there? Xhaka and Partey could work. No,
I'm just saying.
Come on.
I'm just saying defense. I'm just look because the thing is, Ray, it's the same argument you're making about Lacazette. How are we going to get rid of Xhaka? Xhaka's not going to be someone. We bought him for 35 million. Can we get rid of him for 35 million?
He's performing right now, isn't it? He's performing right now. Perfect time.
So you reckon we could get 35 mil for Xhaka right now? Who's going to buy him for 35 mil?
I don't think we can. If I'm honest, I would take 20 to 25 million. I would take it.
How is it Arsenal are making the loss on every player that we have?
I wouldn't take that. I would rather keep him if you can't get your money back on him. Because all I'll say is this, I've never been Xhaka's biggest fan. When we signed him, I was like, who's this guy? And he, under Arteta, if you look at our results, we haven't lost a game that he's completed 90 minutes. That says a lot to how much balance he brings to this team because there is no one.
It's a small sample size, though, mate. It's a very small sample size.
It's exactly the same with the number 10 slot. Like on the left side of our midfield, there is no one that can play there. Torreira doesn't know how to hold that position.
No.
Uzi doesn't know what position he's in. Willock doesn't know what position he's in, and Ceballos has shown that he's much better suited to the right
than that right,
the left. So there's play there. So unless Partey can play left-sided, I don't actually know where he plays in Madrid. Don't know if he is a left-sided or if he's just.
Not sure, you know.
So I would have to look into that, but I would say keep him because he's improved. He's one of the most improved players under Arteta. I'll give him that 100%.
Yeah,
Agreed. Don't forget about him throwing his shirt. I don't forget any of them rubbish performances that he's made, the sloppy passes he gives away. I don't forget none of that. Trust me, I don't. But in this system, he is a vital part of this system. And until we get personnel to change that, he's got to stay. 100%, he's got to stay there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And that's the way I view it. If because Torreira, I would love to keep Torreira, but he doesn't seem to be committed. There's too many rumblings about him not being settled. So if we have to get an alternative, I'll get Partey, and I think Partey and Xhaka could work. A bit more discipline, a bit more presence as well. That's what we've been lacking for a while, now. So that's probably the only way we're going to be able to move on Lacazette. The only way.
Ideal world, just in regards to the Xhaka Partey, I don't even know what you would call it, imaginary scenario. Why don't we just get rid of Xhaka, keep Torreira, and put him next to Partey in this fantastic little world that we're living in where everything...
that would be great, wouldn't it?
That would be the ideal scenario, isn't it? But anyway, listen, guys, I'm just looking, I'm just aware of time, and I'm thinking we've got a lot to fit in not so much time. So I want to kind of move the conversation on and bring it back, not so much on players and individual performances, but more about, and you know what, furthermore, let's go into the player and the manager ratings. Let's go with that. And you know what, we'll start at the back. And just as we're talking, guys, I'm just having a look. West Ham are leading against Chelsea, 2-1. You couldn't write it. You couldn't write it, honestly. Anyway, we will move on and we'll talk about player ratings. I'll get the line up here. And I guess I'll start with you, John. Martinez, what are we giving him?
Solid performance. I can't really fault it. I don't remember him. His distribution was still good. I don't really remember him making any mistakes. He saved everything that was at him, other than the one that was a rocket that I don't think any keeper would save.
Yeah,
and that hit the post. So yeah, I'll give him an 8. He was solid. He's two class saves that were at vital times as well. One just before half time and one just after half time. They're the vital times that you don't want to lose a goal, especially Arsenal, because 2-0 up, that's not good enough for Arsenal. They need a third goal, always need that third goal. So yeah, he saved us at vital times and held on to the ball as well with a second one, which is what I like. I like to see.
I think it's a good point you make about that second save, because it's not just the save, it's the fact that he's able to retain the ball as a Norwich forward is coming and closing down on him. If he parries that, that's a guaranteed goal. So that fantastic kind of goalkeeping from Martinez. And I think he's been good overall.
I agree.
You mentioned earlier, didn't you? Yeah, you did mention earlier. So moving on into the back line, the back three. We'll start with Mustafi. Theo, what are we giving him?
Mustafi does what Mustafi does, isn't it? The thing with him, he's always just got. Let me just give him his rating first. So his rating, I'd say, let's say, I'd say a 5 or 4 or 5, because those mistakes, those passes could have led to goals, but let's just say that we were fortunate enough. So let's just say it's a standard 5, reluctantly, but a standard 5.
Okay, 5. John, Louise, what do we think?
Better, much better, but he didn't have
much to do, innit? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have, but he did cover. I think he covered Holding once when he was up the pitch when they was through, and he ran and put it out for a throw-in, which I like. I like simple defending like that. I like players that don't always have to take a risk, do a Cruyff turn in their box to get out. No, stick it in Rose Ed.
Yeah.
Like, get it. So, yeah, I'll give him a solid 7. He was dependable when he was called upon, and yeah, he didn't have much to do, but what he did well. And for that pass alone to Tierney,
I was gonna say,
no, that's a good shout.
That's a
7 for me for him.
Perfect. Moving on to our left-sided centre back, Kolasinac. Theo, how are you feeling?
Kolasinac, since he's come into the back three, he's done good. So I would give him I'll give him a 6. He didn't do anything too special, but he looked comfortable. I wouldn't say there was ever a point where I thought, he looked out of sorts. Yeah, so I'd say a 6.
Okay, all right. And I guess I'll stay with you, Theo. Go on, and you can have Tierney on the left side as well. Give us a little bit.
I think this is probably one of these.
John, I will bring you in on Tierney as well. Actually, furthermore, we'll have a little chat about Tierney because he's done well. He has done well. Sorry, Theo, just interrupt.
I think this is one of his best games. He was after Ceballos. I would say he was my man of the match. So I'd say a good, probably 8 or 9. He had good energy, so if we give him Martinez at 8, I think we have to give Tierney a 9, isn't it? So.
9, okay. I listen. I really like the player. Really like the attributes that the player has. I like the fact that he's played up in Scotland as well, because I think it's no holds bar football up there. It's not for the softies. You know what I mean? And I think he just brings the right attributes to our left-hand side. And again, just bringing your point, John, about no-nonsense defending. I like some of the defending and decisions that he makes in the defensive third. It's simple, it's basic. I need to see the ball out, so it's a goal kick. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and play out from the back and do something fancy, put my goalkeeper under pressure. All through the game, I thought there was good decisions from him. How are you feeling about Tierney, and how are you feeling about him generally, John?
Yeah, this is what I've been waiting for. More, as I said, in the summer, if anyone had chatted to me, if you speak to me down Thursday on Saleka, the one guy who I was excited about us signing was Tierney. Out of all the signings we made, Tierney was my number 1. He is what we've been missing since Ashley Cole. We haven't had a left back like him since Ashley Cole. He's a defender first, and he's also good going forward. He's the real deal. I'm just hoping he stays injury free and we get the best seasons out of him, because he will be. With Saliba coming into the team, I'm a bit more hopeful for our defence. And if Rob Holding can get a run in that team like he should, his performance deserved really, then yeah, I say I'm a bit more hopeful. But yeah, Tierney, top draw. I'll go with 8 or 9 for him. Yeah,
perfect.
Definitely.
Yeah, so John, I'll stay with you. We'll go to the other side. Bellerin, a little bit better today.
One of his better games. The first 15 minutes, he was a threat down that right. I don't know whether they've been doing it in training or not, but him and Ceballos linked up countless times. He was one-on-one, like, behind their defence. Balls could be a bit better from him, but Bellerin's always been 50-50 with his end product. He's never been 90% good balls. Like, so he put in 2 good balls from what I remember. Lacazette, I think, was on the end of both of them, and they didn't work out. But much better from him, man. I think he is, like you said, you see him, he looks like he's feeling the pressure, and he is, because he stepped up. I know it was Norwich again, but he stepped up today, and he was a lot better. He made a couple of crucial challenges down that wing as well, with their left back, who bombs on all the time in most of their matches. He kind of took him out of the game.
And he's an effective player. Is it Lewis? I think it's Lewis he's called, I think. But, very effective player. So come on then, John, I'm going to push you for a score.
I'll give him a 7, a solid 7. He was,
7?
He was solid there.
All right.
He didn't do too much fancy, but yeah.
All right, so we'll move into the midfield. And then I guess I will give you, Theo, Xhaka. How are we feeling about him?
Xhaka wasn't he was okay today. He wasn't spectacular, but he was tidy on the ball. He got himself about. I wouldn't say he was like one, that standout performer, but he, as we talked before, he makes the team tick, particularly in that midfield. It seems to work with him in the midfield. So he's got, dare I say, got leadership qualities. So but yeah, if you're pushing me for a score, I'd say 6, 7.
Okay, 6.5 we'll give him there.
I'll give him a 7 because he did score, and he does score.
Oh, how can I forget? He scored. He's definitely a 7.
That shows where the unconscious bias is.
A goal from midfield.
It's like a unicorn, isn't it? You see them once every 100 years. Jesus Christ, the Arsenal midfield is struggling. You know what? One of our better performances today, John, and one of our better performers, Ceballos. What are we giving him?
Yeah, I think same with it is very close run with him and Tierney, so he's got to have a 9 as well. I would give him man of the match just because he seemed to be a lot more concentrated today. Yeah. His passing was finding men in red and white every time, and he wasn't giving the loose balls that he normally does. He wasn't trying too much, and he was still tenacious in the tackle. I like that about him. When if he does lose a ball, at least he tries to get it back. Like he goes after the player. So yeah, I'll give him a 9 and probably just shade Tierney for man of the match in this game, just because he's best in an Arsenal shirt. I think I know he played well against Burnley, but for me this game, I want to see more of this Ceballos. This is what I expected when we got him from Madrid. So yeah, I'll give him a 9.
Theo, just as I'm aware time is ticking very quickly, give us your score for Aubameyang. 2 goals and an assist, and we're screaming that Ceballos is the man of the match. Is that the right decision? Although Ceballos had an amazing performance today. Well, obviously one of his best.
Aubameyang scored 2 goals. You got to give him his dues for that. I'd give him an 8.5 or 8.5. But I'll say, if you look at his actual involvement in the game, it wasn't that much. He's just clinical, isn't he? When it comes down to it, he's just clinical. When he had his chances,
can I take you up on that point? how do you win games? By scoring goals. So if
Yeah,
the
no,
man
but
has an effect on 3 of the 4 of our goals, you can't say he hasn't had an effect in the game. He's had
no,
an
but
effect.
I guess what I'm saying is that we've seen games where Aubameyang has just
Has
been
drifted.
he's always involved in everything. You know what I mean? He's on the end of stuff, taking shots. If you look at this game in its entirety, he took his goals and he was involved in the Xhaka's goal. However, I'm just saying that he wasn't really like, really involved in the game. But yeah, let's give him a good 8. A good 8 out of 10 for me.
Okay. 8 out of 10. Oh, okay. Not the 8.5. 8 out of 10.
8.5. 8.5. Let's give him the half. Let's give him the half. Let's give him half.
Come on.
Because he got the assist as well. Let's give him
come
the
on.
half.
That's worth a half at least. So listen, I am just aware that I think we need to go for a quick break, guys, and then we'll come back on the other side and finish up with the player and manager ratings rather than trying to squeeze it in this side of the break. So I will catch you on the other side. Guys, again, you're here with a typical Arsenal show. You're here with your host, Ray, and my guests, Theo and John, and we are getting into the Norwich-Arsenal game, or Arsenal-Norwich game, I should say, which was a 4-0 result for Arsenal. All right, guys, we'll see you on the other end, yeah? Hi, and you're back with your host Ray and the Typical Arsenal Show, and I'm here with my guests John and Theo. We just took a break in and amongst the player ratings, and we are going to get straight back into it. I forget who we came to last.
Reece Nelson.
It was Aubameyang, wasn't it? No?
It was Aubameyang. We did at 8.5. So Reece Nelson, I'll hand it over to you, John. How are you feeling about his performance today?
Yeah, it weren't amazing. As I said, I was a bit surprised by the link up. It was more Bellerin and Ceballos down the right wing than Reece Nelson, but he was quite tidy. He held the ball well, released it quite well, put in a couple of dangerous crosses. Some of them need a bit more pace because the strikers are struggling when there's no pace to a cross. So he needs to learn that with his delivery. He needs to put a bit more pace. They was quite accurate, but the striker has to do a lot to get that in from that slow balls. So yeah, I'll give him a 6.5 probably. Yeah, he weren't amazing, but he was solid.
My only worry about Reece Nelson is that I think he's every time he gets a chance, I don't think he grabs it with both hands. Like, when you look at Saka and you look at Reece Nelson, Reece Nelson was the one that we looked at as like, the one that I've been talking about for years, and he just doesn't seem to. He does enough, but it's just not enough for you to say that he warrants the first team start. So I can't see him. He's another one that's got the next few games to prove himself. I can't see him being in the first 11 in the next couple of years, to be honest with you.
Okay, no, I did very much like yourself. I had very high hopes for Reece after his loan at Hoffenheim, where he was tearing it up, and at that point, you could argue he was on the same kind of level as a Jadon Sancho. Tearing up the Bundesliga, scoring goals, getting assists, and it all kind of dried up for him. And since he's come back to Arsenal, I'll be honest, I haven't been convinced. And I think he has to kind of look at him and think, I was ahead of Saka. Yeah, I was well ahead of Saka. And Saka's come in and he's looking like the shining light right now. So he's got work to do. But there's still some promise, I'd argue. There's still some promise with Reece. So we've agreed on a 6.5 out of 10 for Reece. So, Theo, I tell you what, I'll give you. Where do we go from here? Where do we go? I tell you what, we'll start off with Nketiah. How are we feeling about his performance?
Wasn't it Laka who started?
Oh yeah, of course. Look, that says it all, innit? Lacazette, come on then. Lacazette, Lacazette. What are you calling him? What are you giving him?
It's got to be a 4. No, that's probably being generous. Because, like, what did he do in the game? You can make an argument that he had a movement and he got into good spaces, and but What did he? And you can say that he won a few free kicks in some dangerous areas, but he didn't really do much. He doesn't have the work ethic anymore. He's not scoring goals. Link up's poor. It's a 4 for me.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree. And you know, my frustration with Lacazette is you get those prime opportunities, and I wouldn't even a middle of the table striker. I would expect to finish some of the chances that he's had and missed. There was one today that he fluffed. I'm sure
when
there
he
was one
cut
in the last game.
back and he was on his left foot. That was terrible, wasn't it?
Just terrible. As a striker, number 9, basics. You know, I was hoping after I saw that goal he scored in the friendly against, was it Charlton? Yeah. I don't know if you saw that goal. It was an amazing strike. I was thinking this guy is sharp. But then the following game, the game we lost to, who was it? Brentford, I think we lost to 3-2. Similar opportunity. And he was
at fault as well for one of their goals as well, delivering it on his own box.
Yes. Well, listen, I think we're all in agreement. He's struggling.
I think that's generous a 4 as well. You can give him a 4.
I don't want to knock his confidence too much, just in case he's watching.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a 4-0 win. You see, you can't be killing people with less than a 4, I guess. You know. So we'll move on to the substitutes. So we'll go with Nketiah. And who am I passing that on to? Is it you, John? With Nketiah?
Yeah, it was
flat 5.
He put himself about. I mean, I was a bit gutted the guy pulled him back right at the end because I wanted to see what he was going to do with it once he got there, because he outstripped 2 of them, and the only way, like, there was one guy in front of him and Pepe to his right. I wanted to see whether he was going to take the players on or he was going to pass it. So I was a bit gutted about that. But yeah, flat 5. He didn't have time to affect the game too much, and by then it was one-way traffic then. So yeah.
Okay. All right, I agree with that. So we'll move on. Holding, Theo.
I think he done okay. Didn't make any major mistakes when he came on. He looked comfortable. The thing is, like John said before, Holding, he's got all the right attributes. I just think injuries have hampered him. I don't want to go on too much about him, but Holding's another one that literally in these next few games are going to say a lot about where he's going to be at Arsenal in the next couple of years. I don't know if he's done enough to warrant starting the first 11. I know you can say Luiz has been terrible in terms of that game where
the Man City game.
But just in general, I think I'm more comfortable or confident in Luiz at the moment, believe it or not.
Wow.
The thing with Holding is that we just need to see him. Because you have to remember, Holding was at fault for the final goal in the Brighton goal. He was flat-footed. Can you remember? Mape pulled off him.
No, that was Mustafi's side. That was Mustafi's side.
Oh, sorry. The first goal
was poor clearance, but that was Ceballos. I don't know what he was doing for that corner.
Yeah, but
the thing I'd say about Holding compared to you're putting him there and you're saying he doesn't deserve a start ahead of Mustafi and Luiz, 2 of the biggest clowns we've had in defence. You're telling me that Holding for his performance against Southampton, he should be starting games week in, week out to get a run in the team and get his.
What I would say is that given where we are, this is a great time to give people a chance. So you're probably right from that perspective. You give the young man a chance to prove himself before we start next season. So from that line of thinking, I will start Holding in the next few games.
Okay. I think it's a good point you make, John. I think it's an obvious point. Mustafi and Luiz are clowns, so by default, Holding should be getting into the starting lineup. But what I will argue is that he's looked ropey. Since he came back from that long-term injury, he has looked very ropey, and he's made some, I won't call high-profile mistakes, but a couple of mistakes that have cost us in games,
He has, but the level of the mistakes compared to Louise and Mustafi.
Oh, there's no comparison. There's no comparison.
It's ridiculous. They are literally clowns. And it's like today, Mustafi was like, "Oh, Louise is having a good game. Let me be the clown today.
Let me be the guy in it." Yeah.
I'll take the face paint today. Like
someone has to be the class fool. Why not?
It's like, what is it?
Yeah. Anyway, listen. Before we lose track of our train of thought, Theo, you were going to give me a rating. I don't know if I missed it on Holding.
Holding, I would say a standard 5 as well. I think he done a good enough job when he came on.
John, Pepe, not much time to do anything. Flat 5.
He didn't really have. I'll give him a 5.
Okay, and the man I'm dubbing the next world beater in the Arsenal squad, Cedric Suarez. Theo. Yeah.
We've got to give him at least a 7 because he scored, didn't it?
Yeah, I think we do.
It would have been a standard 5, but he scored, so he's got to be a 7.
Yeah.
To be fair,
go on.
I will give him one extra thing that he did. He was on the right wing, and you would normally expect him to cross with his right foot, considering he's a right foot. He cut back on his left, and he swung in a decent ball. And I was I like that. I like players that will not afraid to have a go with their left foot, with the strike and with the cross as well. Exactly. Like, because you can't just have someone always cutting back or whatever. You got to use both feet. You're a professional footballer, man. Use both feet. So I'll give him that point. So yeah. 7 is good for me.
I think
for a debut, for his second touch to be banged in the back of the net, slight deflection, still a great strike.
Yeah, we'll take it
all day long.
I think it's a great point you make about players' confidence levels to be taking on shots and crosses, especially crosses. Shots is one thing. You take a shot, you miss, no one's too worried. There will be another one. With crosses, to have the confidence to go with a weaker foot, trust me, it bodes well. I guess I will chime in on Arteta. I think
you missed out Joe Willock, mate.
Have I missed out Joe Willock? And why am I missing out substitutes? I guess I would give him a flat 5 unless you want to argue differently.
No, I agree.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. All right.
Just to add, I just don't see what does Willock do?
Oh, you're trying to start a whole debate now, aren't you, Theo? You are, innit? Listen, he's one of those.
We'll talk about that another day.
We were talking about it in a previous pod about Jack of all trade, master of none. I think that's a conversation we had in the midfield special that's just gone up on YouTube and is on all your kind of podcast platforms. So it's definitely a debate that's been had. If you want me to be honest, I think he's probably a number 8. That gets about the pitch, drives with the ball well. He definitely needs to have a lot more end product in the final third, but you got to give him time. He's a young player, give him a season and see where we are with it, I would argue. But listen, just as I know we're pushed for time and I've had you for such a long time, guys, really appreciate it. Arteta, I am going to argue you can't give him less than a 7 for a 4-0 win and a clean sheet, even if 2 of the goals were a gift. But anyone chime in, feel free to disagree, agree, give him an 8, give him a 9, give him a 10 out of 10. How do people feel about it?
I think it's a 4-0
5. I'll give him an extra half mark. I'll give him at a 7.5. He weren't amazing with his thing, but he seems to have figured out that our defence is not good. He doesn't have 2 centre-backs that are good enough to just play 2 centre-backs.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference to our team.
He's brought some balance now, hasn't he, John?
Yeah, it definitely balances. And we're actually more creative with 3 centre-backs than we are with 2. And that's with having an extra man up top, like, to create a number 10. I'm like, because he frees the wing backs. Like Bellerin, that's the most I've seen him get forward since we come back.
Yeah.
Since he's come back, in fact, from injury since before the lockdown. Like, that's the most I've seen him get forward. I've never seen him get forward that much in a long, long time. So, yeah, I'll give him 7.58 maximum for Arteta. He done all right.
Theo?
I'd give him an 8 because, as you mentioned, he put in the formation, and the formation delivered. We won 4-0. The only thing I would say worked against him, he shouldn't be starting Lacazette. I think that's the only major doubt that you could say. But his team selection overall, you can't say there was any poor performers. No. I'd say he deserves an 8 at least.
Yeah, and you know what, John, I'm gonna keep him at an 8 because I think secretly in the back of his mind he's thinking we need to get rid of Lacazette, so I need to get him into some type of form, in shape for the summer transfer window. Do you know what I mean? Get him in there, get him playing, get some goals, get him out of the club. Who knows?
The only thing with that is you think that, and then you think, I'm putting him in the shop window so they play it. But they watch his performances, they're like, we don't want him. Yeah. We don't want that. Yeah. Who wants that? Who wants that? No heart, no desire, no attacking threat, no holding up threat, no running with the ball threat.
None at all with it.
No passing threat. What's he got?
I know. Listen, let's hope things change for Lacazette because I do have a soft spot for him. I think inside the box he can be a clinical finisher. So listen, just bringing it to a close, guys. And again, I've got to say a massive thank you for giving me your time. We're moving into the section of the show called Any Other Business. And it's where you guys can chime in with any bits that you've got. I know there was a few bits that went round social media today. One of the Arsenal women players came home with the Football Writers Award. We give her a round of applause, and then I need to just confirm how you pronounce her name before I butcher it. But Vivian Miedema.
That's what the commentators called her anyway.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to her. Round of applause. Fantastic. There was another bit of news as well. So looking at Mkhitaryan will continue his loan spell over at Roma.
Get rid of him, make it permanent, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, and that's another conversation to have for another show. Maybe that Clive Mkhitaryan deal and whether that might happen. Because I think I'm inclined to take that. To be honest,
I'll take 5 million for him at the minute. Like he's a dead weight.
And he's on high wages.
Exactly.
Big wage, 170k for.
I thought it was more, John. I thought it was more than that. Jesus. So just 2 other little tidbits about young players coming in and young players leaving the club. So William Saliba has been told that he cannot extend his loan deal. So he will be joining up with the squad and training and won't be playing in the French Cup final.
And Etienne messed it up.
Really?
Well, they wouldn't stick to his rehabilitation scheme that Arsenal had come up with. They didn't agree to it.
Okay.
They wanted him for longer. They wanted him for the start of next season as well, for half the season. It was like, as if we're going to give him that. And then they didn't want to pay his wage either for him to play in the cup final.
Oh, I don't know what they were smoking over at Saint Etienne, but they were smoking something good. Jesus.
Do you want a chance to win the trophy or not? Because he's your best defender.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, anyway, I'm not crying tears about that one. Little bit of a shame for Saliba. It would have been nice for him to pick up a little medal, maybe potentially before he comes over. But yeah, I'm not crying tears. Less opportunities for him to get injured. I look at that and say.
Yeah.
And then finally, and maybe Thea, maybe I'll just bring you on in this, and then maybe John, I'll bring you in after. Balogun, lauded striker. Supposedly right-footed, left-footed strikes, not a problem. Tearing up the academy system. Goals, assists, real threat. And supposedly the talk is he's out of the club now. How do you feel about
he's basically said that he wants first team appearances and doesn't look like we're going to give it to him. So it's a hard one, because when players are doing so well in the under-23s or, the youngsters, because if you think about what he's been doing in that standard. He's actually been excelling. So we should have maybe given him 10 minutes here and there for some of maybe the cup games and stuff like that, and seeing what he does. But do you know what? I was talking to my brother the other day, and one of the things that we were talking about is everybody slams Chelsea about how they've got so many players out on loan and this and that and this and that. But when you actually quantify, or you actually try to put a price on how much Chelsea could make from selling their players, all these youngsters, Abraham, they could get at least 30 million. Loftus-Cheek, at least 30 million. When it comes to us, look at all our youngsters. How much are we going to get for them? You know what I mean? So they're amalgamating talent, and they can use that money from this talent to have a nice little kitty to buy actual experienced players. But when we think about it, we're letting the likes of Balogun go. You know what I mean? So we let Rene Adelaide, what's his name? He was supposed to be another
Jeff.
Jeff. You know.
And you know what? I think it's a very good point you make, because Chelsea have been very clever in that way of sticking their badge on players' CVs and then skyrocketing the price. Say again, John.
That's essentially why they got their transfer ban, because they were stealing all this young talent, but they couldn't bring them through into a team. So they loaned out. I think it was the most players any team's ever loaned out. I think it was 28 players they loaned out.
Yeah, literally.
One season. Yeah, so they've loaned all these players, but they've got all this talent. They've got some of the talent that they've let go is ridiculous. Like the ones they've let go, like there was a guy, Dutch guy, I think he was, Bodega or something. His name was. He was sick. Like I watched him play, and I thought this guy's ready to make it. And next day he's out the door. Like, but they've got that that they can do that. They've got so many of them. It's like a conveyor belt. I actually think, if I'm not mistaken, Balogun actually come from Chelsea. He was in their academy, and we stole him.
I know that was the case. I know that was the case with Nketiah.
Yeah, they stumbled on his contract, and apparently we took him. And the thing with Balogun that annoys me the most is when I see Lacazette playing, and I see someone like Balogun who is hungry and ready to try and make a name for himself, and you don't even give him a chance. You don't give him 5 minutes. You don't give him anything. You don't even give him.
Is he training with the first team squad?
Yeah, I don't even know if he's doing that. But there's that other guy who, Daniel Malen, went to the Dutch league. They were talking about us buying him back for 50 million. 50 million. We let this guy go for like 1.5 million. He's a youngster, and now they're trying to get 50 million back for him. And I'm like, I look at Gnabry. Gnabry for me was the worst out of all of them.
You see, the thing is, John, now, and this is where it comes back to an age-old problem with Arsenal and contracts, yeah? When a Real Madrid or a Barcelona sell one of their young starlets, yeah? Even a Chelsea, they have something in their contract that covers them. So, for instance, a buyback clause of some kind, or a sell-on clause. It's only now with this Oxlade-Chamberlain situation that I've seen a contract actually work for us. Do you get my meaning? You know?
Yeah.
I think, and to bring it back to Theo's point as well, just in regards to the fact that it wouldn't have hurt to bring Balogun in, because as soon as you bring him in and he plays a couple of games in the Prem, his price is going to skyrocket from being worth maybe 200, 300k. Now he's worth maybe 2-3 million from having maybe 10 appearances over a season. And then if you want to sell him, you sell him, you know? I think Jeff is another example. Jeff Rain Adelaide, we sold him for like, what, 1.22 million? Something along those lines.
We did get money for him, though, extra when they sold him.
But John, how much did they sell him for? They sold him for like 30 times what we sold him for, literally within a season.
I mean, same with Vela. Vela should have been given a chance. He was a talent. He was a talent. I loved watching Vela play.
Yeah, he was entertaining.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, and he was never given a proper chance, and we lost him for next to nothing. 3.5 million. We got an extra 2.5 million when they sold him. Yeah, but
it's a sad times, you know.
I look at this guy Balogun, though, that he's not been given one chance. I've not seen him given one chance in any competition. And and I just think, why? I'm looking at Laka not producing week in, week out. I'm looking at Nketiah, he's got a lot better, but this Balogun, from what I've watched of him, he was such a better prospect than Nketiah any day of the week. Right foot, left foot, and header. He had it all. Like, he could go past players like for fun. I know they're youth players, but you still got to do it.
Yeah.
What's the status of his contract? Is he being sold, or is it what?
He's being sold. He's got a year left of his terms apparently, but he's not. He's refused to sign the contract.
A new contract.
To him because because it doesn't involve first team, and I think it should. I think at the very least he should try him for the remainder of the season. Try and bring him on even for 10 minutes and just see what he's got about him, man.
Yeah.
Don't just not look at a player and let them go.
No,
René Adley
it'd be a
is the
mistake.
perfect one with that. We see René Adley for what, 3 games, and in those games he was so unpredictable. I was like, I like him. That's
I liked him.
Give him a contract, long contract, because I liked what he could bring, and then he disappeared, never to be seen again. All the crowd used to. This is when I used to go there regular, and all the crowd used to be going, "Bring on the Jeff," like that.
Yeah.
They used to shout it.
Mate, he was a cult hero. And he hadn't even played any games for the first team. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Anyway, look, you know what, guys? Again, just to wrap it up, I think this Balogun situation is disappointing, but I will temper it by saying fantastic news that we heard today about the young boy Saka. And if there was one contract that I think everyone was kind of sweating on and scratching their head about, it was that contract. So fantastic news. Congratulations to Saka, I think. And I think it's a good point to leave the viewers on. So I'll finish up by saying, first and foremost, thank you to my guests, John and Theo. Much appreciated for you guys giving me your time.
Thanks for having us.
No probs. Again, this is your host, Ray. This is the Typical Arsenal Show. Up the Arsenal, 4-0 win against Norwich. And before I even let you go, guys, it would be remiss of me, actually. It would be remiss if I didn't ask for your predictions for the next game. I did want to get into some chat about some further games, but I think we'll keep it to the one game and wrap up for today. So I'll come to you, John, just quickly. Your predictions for the game against, and this is the question now, who are we playing next? It's a big game, isn't it? Is it not?
Is it Leicester or Wolves?
I think
it's Wolves. It's Wolves.
I think it is Wolves, and I think it's away as well. So correct. Yep, we are away to Wolves Saturday. How are we feeling about that?
Tough game, but I'm gonna say we'll keep this win streak going. I've got a feeling the players. You see the difference in the whole mentality of the players today. That I know it was an easier game for them, but from the start they seem to have a smile on their face and they seem to be back in that frame of mind. So I'm gonna go. It'll be a close one. I'm hoping maybe if Holding starts, I'll go for 2-1. 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. I'll give you a bit of context, Theo. Head-to-head matches. Arsenal, Wolves, 1-1. Wolves, 3. Arsenal, 1. Arsenal, 1. Wolves, 1. Wolves, 0. Arsenal, 3. Those are the last 4 fixtures in the Prem. Where do you think this is going to go?
I'm trying to be optimistic, and I think that the result will give the boys a bit of a confidence. So I'm going to say we won't lose. So it's going to be either a draw or a win. So I'm going to put my neck out.
Get them splinters out your bottom. I'm going to put my neck out. I'm going to put my neck out. I'm going to say we're going to win. We're going to win. Okay, so you're not going to give me a score?
Let's go 2-1. I think we'll concede, 2-1. But we'll win. Just about.
Okay. I am gonna go with, because I'm ever the pessimist when it comes to Arsenal, because they're giving me nothing but misery over the last 2 years, and especially against Wolves as well. I don't think we do well against them, but we are in form. So I'm gonna go with a 2-2 draw. And I think that is the show for us now, guys. Much appreciated again. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next one. Brilliant, guys. Thank you. Guys, this has been a typical Arsenal show. Again, your host, Ray, with Theo and John. And my last thank you again, guys. Thank you for giving me so much of your time. Cheers. Thank you. And see you later.